Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Saira Mujtaba with the Midday News. The headlines. COVID vaccination for children aged 12 to 14 years begins today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi urges children to get vaccinated. Government is fully committed to completing the South Coast Railway Zone work at the earliest, informs Railway Minister Ashwani Vaishnav in Lok Sabha. Over 5,58,000 villages have mobile broadband wireless coverage in the country. MOS for Communications Dev Singh Chauhan informs in the Lok Sabha. Supreme Court upholds government's decision on one rank, one pension for defence forces. Aam Aadmi Party leader Bhagwant Mann swears in as the Chief Minister of Punjab today. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari to inaugurate pilot project for hydrogen-based advanced fuel cell electric vehicle in New Delhi today. 36th International Geological Congress to be held in New Delhi from Sunday. 3 terrorists gunned down by security forces in Nogam area on the outskirts of Srinagar city this morning. India to host FIDE Chess Olympiad 2022 in Chennai. And in Women's Cricket World Cup, England beat India by 4 wickets at Mount Maunganui. As we start the bulletin, we appeal to our listeners to stay safe from COVID-19 by following these 4 simple steps. Get fully vaccinated, wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Free of cost COVID vaccination for children in the age group of 12 to 14 years begins today on the occasion of the National Vaccination Day at all government COVID vaccination centres. Corbevax vaccine will be administered, which is manufactured by Biological E Limited, Hyderabad. This can be through online registration beginning at 9 a.m. or through on-site walk-in. People above 60 years of age are eligible for precaution dose from today, as the condition of comorbidity for this age group has been removed. The precaution dose is to be administered after 9 months after the date of the second vaccination. Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital in Delhi has dedicated a separate vaccination site for children in the age group of 12 to 14. Talking to AI News, COVID vaccination center in charge at RML Hospital, Dr. Neelam Roy said one of the parents should accompany the child during the vaccination. She said an expert team of doctors is supervising the vaccination process.
At RML Hospital, we have 3 vaccination sites. For children between 12 to 14 years, we have dedicated one separate site because they have a different vaccine, that is Corbevax. All the children between 12 to 14 years will be vaccinated at a dedicated separate site. And these children, we are allowing one parent with them in the vaccination room so the children are comfortable and they get vaccinated easily. After vaccination, they will be kept under observation for a period of 30 minutes. And during this period of 30 minutes, they will be monitored for any adverse event. We have a team of experts who will be monitoring these children. The experts include anesthetists, pediatrician, epidemiologists, expert nurses. So we have the team to monitor these children.
Centre has sent detailed instructions on operational guidelines to states and UTs in this regard. A report.
States have been advised to ensure that only those who have attained the age of 12 years on the date of vaccination are vaccinated against COVID. If the beneficiary is registered but has not attained the age of 12 years, vaccine will not be given. Vaccinators and vaccination teams have been asked to ensure that there is no mixing of vaccines, particularly for the 12 to 14 years age group. States and union territories have been informed that at present, the age of beneficiary in COVID is being filtered based on year of birth. The responsibility for verification of age will lie with the vaccinator at the time of vaccination for the first few days, as the provision for recording the exact date of birth in CoWIN portal is under process. Once implemented, the system will by default not allow registration of beneficiaries who are not of the recommended age. Suparna Saikia, AIR News, Delhi.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has expressed happiness that on National Vaccination Day 2022, India begins COVID jabs for 12 to 14-year-olds. In a series of tweets, Mr. Naidu said with over 180 crore doses, India's vaccination drive has been unprecedented in both scale and reach. Vice President said vaccination plays an important role in preventing many life-threatening diseases and therefore focus should be on creating public awareness, especially in rural areas. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also urged children in the age groups of 12 to 14 to get vaccinated. In a series of tweets, Mr. Modi said, "Today is an important day in India's efforts to vaccinate the citizens." He said now onwards youngsters in the 12 to 14 age group are eligible for vaccines and all those above 60 are eligible for precaution doses. Mr. Modi said India has many made-in-India vaccines and the government has also granted approval to other vaccines after due process of evaluation. He said India is in a much better position to fight the pandemic.
In Gujarat, about 20 lakh children between 12 and 14 years of age will now be eligible for COVID vaccination. This was announced by the State Health Minister Rishikesh Patel while launching the drive from Gandhinagar this morning. He said that vaccination will take place at all existing centres with online registration as well as spot registration. According to the State Health Department, Gujarat has already fully vaccinated 4.96 crore people and has covered 77% of those in the 15 to 18 years age group with both the doses. In Ladakh, vaccination of children in the age group of 12 to 14 started in Kargil with Corbevax vaccine. Dr. Fatima Nisa, BMO Kargil, while talking to our correspondent Anayat Ali, said vaccination has begun in all the blocks of Kargil and even in Zanskar subdivision. She said there will be regular rosters by the department for vaccination and the precautionary dose for all people above 60 years is going on at Vaccination Centre District Hospital, Kargil, and requested the people to take the dose.
Telangana Health Minister Harish Rao has formally launched the COVID-19 vaccination for the children between the age group of 12 to 14 years at Khairatabad in Hyderabad. He asked people not to ignore taking vaccines with an excuse like coronavirus will not affect them. Stating that the virus has not disappeared completely, the minister asked everyone to take prior vaccines to ensure their health. Puducherry Chief Minister N. Rangasamy kick-started the vaccination drive for children. After initiating the drive, Chief Minister Rangasamy said that the drive launched to cover approximately 50,000 students in the Union Territory. The Health Director, Dr. Siramulu, said that Puducherry received 56,400 doses of Corbevax vaccine initially to continue the drive without any break. Vaccination drive is going on in all primary health centres, government hospitals and other prominent places.
Over 180 crore 60 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. India's active caseload currently stands at 32,811. Active cases stand at 0.08%. The recovery rate is currently at 98.72%. A total of 3,884 people recovered in the last 24 hours. 2,876 new cases were recorded in the last 24 hours. Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan today said the new education policy has given more impetus on teachers' training for the first time in the country. Replying to supplementaries in Rajya Sabha during the question hour, Mr. Pradhan said the government is of the view that there should be no compromise on the training of teachers and it is taking steps in this direction.
मैं जब राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के बारे में उल्लेख कर रहा हूं, राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति में इस बार पहली बार शिक्षकों के बारे में बहुत ध्यान दिया है। जब तक हमारे शिक्षक ठीक से प्रशिक्षित नहीं होंगे, वेल ट्रेन नहीं होंगे, तब हमारे विद्यार्थियों की लाभ भी नहीं मिलेगा विद्यार्थियों को। इसलिए एनसीटी ने एक नया इंटीग्रेटेड कोर्स फ्रेमवर्क लाया है। राज्य सरकार ने और भारत सरकार दोनों मिलकर टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग के बारे में बहुत महत्व दे रहे हैं। ये भी राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति में अंतर्गत है, इसकी अनफोल्डमेंट हो रही है।
The number of deaths occurring due to hazardous cleaning of sewers and septic tanks has substantially come down in the country. In the year 2019, the number of such deaths was 118, which came down to 24 in 2021. This was stated by the Minister of State for Social Justice and Empowerment, Ram Das Athavale, in a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today. He said the government has taken serious cognizance of deaths occurring due to hazardous cleaning of sewers and septic tanks.
The country has witnessed a decreasing trend in the number of road accidents during the last 3 years. The number of road accidents has decreased by over 18% in 2020 as compared to corresponding period. In a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today, Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari said the centre has formulated a multi-pronged strategy to address the issue of road safety based on education, engineering, enforcement and emergency care. He added safety standards for automobiles have been improved in respect of airbags, anti-braking system, tires, crash test, speed limiting devices, fire alarm and protection system. The minister said the Motor Vehicles Amendment Act 2019 provides for a scheme for the cashless treatment of victims of the accident during the golden hour. Over 99% households have been offered employment against their demand for work under Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, MG-NREGA, in the current financial year so far. This was stated by Minister of State for Rural Development, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti, in a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today.
Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav assured that the government is fully committed to completing the South Coast Railway Zone work at the earliest. Replying to questions in the Lok Sabha as to why the South Coast Railway Zone has not been operationalized as yet, Mr. Vaishnav said prerequisites as building work, site location and DTR were all at an advanced stage of finalization. The minister also said steps are being taken to convert the Vijayawada junction into a world-class station, as increasing passenger amenities is a continuous process. The government today said over 5,58,000 villages have mobile broadband wireless coverage in the country. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha, the Minister of State for Communications, Dev Singh Chauhan, said, according to census of 2011, there are 5,97,618 inhabited villages in the country. He said BharatNet project is implemented in a phased manner to provide broadband connectivity to all Gram Panchayats in the country, and a total number of over 1,72,000 Gram Panchayats are made service ready.
Congress leader Sonia Gandhi today said social media is being used to hack the country's democracy. She said social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter are being manipulated to set political narratives in India. Raising the issue during Zero Hour, Mrs. Gandhi said global companies like Facebook and Twitter are increasingly being used to shape political narratives by leaders, parties and their proxies. She said this shows the connivance of the ruling establishment with these social media platforms to set political narratives which is not helpful for democracy and the democratic structure. Congress member Adur Prakash has sought immediate intervention of the government with the release of Indian fishermen languishing in the prisons of Indonesia and Seychelles. Raising the issue in the Zero Hour today, he described that 3 fishermen from Kerala and 5 fishermen from Tamil Nadu were arrested for trespassing into the territory. He informed that at least 58 Indian fishermen had been arrested in Seychelles and wanted a legal remedy.
The Supreme Court today upheld the government's decision on one rank, one pension or ROP for defence forces, as it did not find any constitutional infirmity on the OROP principle and the notification of 7th November 2015. A bench comprising Justices D.Y. Chandrachud, Suryakant and Vikram Nath said the policy decision of the Centre of OROP is not arbitrary and it is not for the court to go into the policy matters of the government. While disposing of a plea implementation of the one rank, one pension as recommended by the Bhagat Singh Koshyari Committee with an automatic annual revision instead of the current policy of periodic review once in 5 years, the Apex Court directed that the pending refixation exercise of OROP should be carried out from 1st July 2019 and arrears be paid to the pensioners in 3 months. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, 3 terrorists have been gunned down by security forces in a gunfight that broke out between the terrorists and security forces in Naugam area on the outskirts of Srinagar city this morning. The gunfight had erupted after the joint team of security forces were fired upon by the terrorists who had laid a cordon and search operation in the area. The identity of the slain terrorist is being ascertained. Talking to AIR News, Srinagar IGP Vijay Kumar said,
दिन पहले खुनमो के सरपंच समीर अमर भट्ट साहब का किलिंग हुआ था, उसमें तीनों टेररिस्ट का इन्वॉल्वमेंट था. ये आइडेंटिफाई हुआ है आदिल तेली कहकर, और दूसरा साकिब है तांत्रे सोपियन का, तीसरा मोस्टली उमर तेली है और उसकी फैमिली को बुला रहे हैं. तीनों लश्कर तोवा का लोकल टेररिस्ट है और तीनों पीआरआई पीपी जो होते हैं सरपंच पंच पर बार बार अटैक करते रहते हैं और ये बहुत बड़ी पुलिस के लिए बहुत बड़ी कामयाबी है.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. COVID vaccination for children aged 12 to 14 years begins today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi urges children to get vaccinated. Government is fully committed to completing the South Coast Railway Zone work at the earliest, informs Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav in Lok Sabha. Over 5,58,000 villages have mobile broadband wireless coverage in the country. MOS for Communications Dev Singh Chauhan informs Lok Sabha. Supreme Court upholds government's decision on one rank, one pension for defence forces. Aam Aadmi Party leader Bhagwant Mann sworn in as Chief Minister of Punjab today. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari to inaugurate pilot project for hydrogen-based advanced fuel cell electric vehicle in New Delhi today. 36th International Geological Congress to be held in New Delhi from Sunday. 3 terrorists gunned down by security forces in Naugam area on the outskirts of Srinagar city this morning. India to host FIDE Chess Olympiad 2022 in Chennai. And in Women's Cricket World Cup, England beat India by 4 wickets at Mount Maunganui. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Kaleidoscope, a collection of interesting, humorous and fun-filled stories that tickle your funny bone. Do join us for the 75th episode of Kaleidoscope on 17th March at 7:30 a.m. in Aaj Savere and at 10:30 p.m. in World News on 100.1 FM Gold channel of All India Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Midday News. Aam Aadmi Party leader Bhagwant Mann has been sworn in as the Chief Minister of Punjab. He was administered the oath by Punjab Governor Banwari Lal Purohit at Khatkar Kalan, ancestral village of Martyr Bhagat Singh in SBS Nagar, Nawashahar district. The national convener of Aam Aadmi Party, Arvind Kejriwal, Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, Punjab in charge of party affairs Raghav Chadda, and other leaders of the party, along with the general public from all over the state, joined the swearing-in ceremony. The caretaker Chief Ministers of Manipur N. Biren Singh and Dr. Pramod Sawant of Goa today met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. In a tweet, Mr. Modi congratulated Biren Singh on his stupendous victory in the recently concluded assembly polls. Prime Minister said BJP is committed to working even harder to fulfill the aspirations of the people of Manipur. BJP won 32 seats in the 60-member assembly. In another tweet, Mr. Modi said BJP is grateful to the people of Goa for blessing the party yet again with the mandate to serve the state. He said the party will keep working for Goa's progress in the times to come.
Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari will inaugurate pilot project for hydrogen-based advanced fuel cell electric vehicle in New Delhi today. This will be a first-of-its-kind project in the country aimed at spreading awareness about hydrogen. India is committed to a cleaner energy and low-carbon pathway for achieving accelerated economic growth. Hydrogen is a key element of the energy strategy and will play a key role in the low-carbon energy pathways. Green hydrogen offers huge opportunities to decarbonize a range of sectors, including road transportation, and is gaining unprecedented momentum globally. The 36th International Geological Congress will be held in New Delhi from Sunday. The 3-day event will provide a unique platform for knowledge and experience sharing in the field of geosciences and professional networking. It will give first-hand information on latest technologies in mining, mineral exploration and management of water, mineral resource and environment. The theme of the event is Geosciences, the basic science for a sustainable future.
Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia has said that 15% of pilots in India are women today. Speaking at an event organized by FICCI to acknowledge the contribution of women and to celebrate women's achievements in the Indian aviation sector, the minister said women have made huge contributions in the aviation sector. Talking about women in the civil aviation, he said that women in aviation have overcome many odds and surpassed stereotypes. He said women in civil aviation in India have pierced every glass ceiling. Today is the last day for general public to visit Mughal Gardens in Delhi. It was opened on the 10th of February by President Ramnath Kovind.
And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
On the 16th of March 1912, Gandhiji commended Gopal Krishna Gokhale's attempts for abolition of indenture system. The system had started in 1830s and required Indians to sign a legal agreement stating the consent to move abroad for a minimum of 5 years to work mainly on sugar estates. However, the miserable conditions in the sugar estates and the conflicts with both the white community and the indigenous population soon led to wide-scale protests against the colonial government.
Gandhiji also raised his voice against the miserable conditions of Indians in South Africa. The formation of the Anti-Indenture Immigration League in Bengal, Bihar and UP resulted in bringing public notice to the plight of the immigrants. Finally, on the 20th of March 1916, Madan Mohan Malviya moved a resolution in the Indian Legislative Council for the abolition of the indenture system. The British government accepted the resolution and formally banned the system in 1917.
We also remember revolutionary freedom fighter Tarkeshwar Dastidar, who shot and wounded the Assistant Sub-Inspector of Chittagong on the 16th of March 1931 at Patia Police Station. A member of Indian Republican Army, Tarkeshwar also participated in the Chittagong Armory raid along with Surya Sen on the 18th of April 1930.
Tarkeshwar, who was referred to as Futuda by fellow revolutionaries, was born in 1904 in Chittagong, now in Bangladesh. After the Chittagong army raid, when Surya Sen was arrested, Tarkeshwar became the leader of the Indian Republican Army. He kept in touch with Surya Sen in prison and endeavoured hard to free him. Dastidar was arrested on the 19th of May 1933 after an armed encounter with the police force at Gahira village.
Tarkeshwar was tried and executed along with Surya Sen on the 12th of January 1934 in Chittagong District Jail. Their dead bodies were said to have been burnt in the boiler of a ship. We salute the great martyrs.
We also remember Indian National Army Lieutenant Gyan Singh Bisht, who was martyred on the 16th of March 1945. A resident of Uttaranchal, Gyan Singh was posted in Myanmar to confront the British and move towards the Imphal front. Singh and his men were assigned the mission to occupy a strategic hill near the Indo-Burma border. The INA members engaged in a fierce fighting with the British troops for about 2 hours and succeeded in forcing the enemy to evacuate from its position. However, Gyan Singh, along with more than 40 INA soldiers, attained martyrdom during the battle on the 16th of March 1945. We salute the great martyrs.
Martyr Raghu Govind was born in 1916 in Mumbai, Maharashtra. He joined one of the demonstrations in support of the Royal Indian Navy Ratings Rebellion and was wounded in the police firing near the Round Temple on the 22nd of February 1946. Govind succumbed to his injuries on the 16th of March 1946. We salute the great martyr.
We also remember martyr Nuna Murmu, who was born in Santhal Parganas, Jharkhand. Son of Lal Murmu, Nuna actively participated in the Quit India movement of 1942. He was arrested for participating in an agitation at Dumka in 1943 and sent to 5 years of rigorous imprisonment. He died in Dumka jail on the 16th of March 1944. AIR salutes the great martyr. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will deliver a virtual address at the U.S. Congress today. He will speak to members of the House and Senate to rally support for Ukraine. In a joint statement, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said that Zelensky will address the U.S. Congress virtually at the U.S. Capitol.
On to sports now. In Women's Cricket World Cup, England registered their first win in the tournament, defeating India by 4 wickets at Mount Maunganui, set to score 135 runs for victory in the stipulated 50 overs. English women reached the target in the 32nd over, scoring 136 for 6. Heather Knight scored an unbeaten half-century and Naskiva made 45. Meghna Singh claimed 3 wickets, while Rajeshwari Gaikwad, Jhulan Goswami and Pooja Vastrikar bagged 1 wicket each. Earlier put into bat, India were all out for 134 runs in the 37th over. India has won the bid to host the FIDE Chess Olympiad 2022 in Chennai. It was originally scheduled to be held in Russia, but the FIDE recently announced that it pulled out from there following the Ukraine invasion. After the announcement, Tamil Nadu government and the All India Chess Federation made a joint bid to host the prestigious tournament and won.
The Sensex and the Nifty today climbed more than 1% in the afternoon trade. Both the domestic key stock indices gained in sync with the rise in other Asian share markets. Global stocks today climbed amid attractive valuations, as in previous sessions, share markets worldwide witnessed heavy fall. Global equity markets fell in previous sessions as surging COVID-19 cases in China hit the confidence of investors who are already worried about the Ukraine war and the first US interest rate rise in 3 years that could come this week. Oil prices, which dropped to the lowest in almost 3 weeks as Russia indicated it is in favor of the Iran nuclear deal, resuming as soon as possible, also boosted investor sentiment. Yesterday, Brent crude prices plunged 7% to trade around $100 per barrel mark. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital Delhi will have mainly clear sky with strong surface winds during the day. The temperature will hover between 21 to 35 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a heat wave. The minimum temperature is 23 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 39 degrees. Chennai is likely to have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will vary between 24 to maximum of 34 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature is 23 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 35 degrees. Srinagar will have mainly clear sky. Jammu will have mainly clear sky. Leh will have partly cloudy sky. And Gilgit will also have partly cloudy sky. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. COVID vaccination for children aged 12 to 14 years begins today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi urges children to get vaccinated. Government is fully committed to completing the South Coast Railway Zone work at the earliest, informs Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav in Lok Sabha. Over 5,58,000 villages have mobile broadband wireless coverage in the country. MOS for Communications Dev Singh Chauhan informs in the Lok Sabha. Supreme Court upholds the government's decision on one rank, one pension for defence forces. Aam Aadmi Party leader Bhagwant Mann sworn in as the Chief Minister of Punjab today. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari to inaugurate pilot project for hydrogen-based advanced fuel cell electric vehicle in New Delhi today. 36th International Geological Congress to be held in New Delhi from Sunday. 3 terrorists gunned down by security forces in Nogam area in the outskirts of Srinagar city this morning. India to host FIDE Chess Olympiad 2022 in Chennai. And in Women's Cricket World Cup, England beat India by 4 wickets at Mount Maunganui. And for details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the Midday News.